Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Titan Sports. I'm Colin Costigan.
Great to see you again. I'm Francisco Molina.
How's it going? I'm Noah Segovia.
And I'm Justin Rosette. We're here to get the ball rolling to keep you updated with your weekly sports updates. Welcome to Titan Sports.
The NFL announced Wednesday that Commissioner Roger Goodell has agreed to a 3-year contract extension that will go until March 2027. Goodell, who is 64, could serve the second longest tenure as NFL commissioner by the end of his contract. At 21 years, Pete Rozelle remains the longest tenured NFL commissioner within 29 years. Goodell took over as NFL commissioner in 2006 following the departure of Paul Tagliabue. Before the promotion, Goodell was an administrative intern in the league officers under Rozelle.
With this being his fourth extension, Goodell, in a press conference on Wednesday, did not comment about the possibility of this being his last term serving the position. Quote, "From my standpoint, I signed a 3-year extension, and that's what I'm going to do. We'll see what the future holds. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not making any commitments other than the next 3 years." End quote. As commissioner, Goodell has made numerous implementations to the league, including protocols when diagnosing concussions and a focus on creating an audience internationally with the international NFL games.
The Dallas Cowboys needed a win after what happened last week at Levi Stadium against the San Francisco 49ers. After last week, everything was in question for the Cowboys. It wasn't until they appeared against the Los Angeles Chargers on Monday night at SoFi Stadium. Dak Prescott and his boys went into the game knowing that anything but victory would be hurting their hopes of winning the NFC title. The Dallas Cowboys earned a narrow away win against the Los Angeles Chargers in a hectic edition of Monday Night Football. Before the start of the game, intensity levels were up as players on both sides got into a heated scuffle near the midfield as the teams were doing pregame warm-ups. For the first key play of the game, Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott did an 18-yard rush touchdown to get the boys' first points up on the scoreboard. Cowboys kicker Brandon Aubrey hit a 39-yard field goal to break the tie. Stephon Gilmore, with a minute and a half left on the clock, intercepted Justin Herbert to seal the victory. The Dallas Cowboys defense came up big in the final minutes to take a 20-17 win.
The Dallas Cowboys outworked the Chargers to win. This win was essential for the teams to rebound from last week's blowout loss to the San Francisco 49ers. With this win, the Cowboys improved to 4-2 on the season, while the Chargers fall to 2-3. What will happen next for the teams? Well, the Cowboys have a bye week and host the Rams on October 29th. Meanwhile, the Chargers will face the Kansas City Chiefs next week.
This past Sunday marked the celebration of the 30th anniversary for the NHL's season home opener for the NHL's Anaheim Ducks, who played against the Carolina Hurricanes at Honda Center in Anaheim. The Ducks were looking to win their first game of the season after a tough loss to the Golden Knights in Vegas. It was a night of reflection and celebration for the Anaheim Ducks franchise. The Ducks came out hot to start their home opener and finished their first period up 3-0. Vatrano, McTavish, and Strome looked good. They connected yet again in the second period, during which Vatrano netted his second and third goals. The Carolina Hurricanes made things interesting, though, and gradually put some goals on the scoreboard. The Anaheim Ducks ultimately celebrated their 30th anniversary season home opener in style, continuing with an early lead and getting their first win under coach Greg Cronin with a 6-3 victory against the Hurricanes.
New season, new throwback threads, and a packed stadium. The Anaheim Ducks had plenty to be excited about before the game had started. And it showed once they were on the ice. They couldn't have asked for a better start to their season. Anaheim Ducks began their home slate with a bang, and with this victory, the Ducks will return to action tomorrow for their next contest against a strong opponent as they travel to Arizona to face the Coyotes.
James Harden has escalated his trade demand with the 76ers. ESPN's Tim Bontemps reports Harden has failed to show up to the 76ers practice the last couple of days with no given reason on his absence. ESPN's Ramona Shelburne reports that the star guard has been in Houston the last couple of days instead of the 76ers practice in order to heighten his trade request. Harden had reported to the 76ers training camp earlier this month, but has now decided against reporting to practice. Harden told a group of reporters this week that his relationship with Sixers president Daryl Morey is beyond repair. Harden has said a tumultuous relationship with Morey, as the pair has been connected since Harden's days in Houston. Harden felt betrayed and even called Morey a, quote, liar, end quote, earlier this summer after the star claimed the Sixers and his representatives' line of communication ended.
ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports that Harden is still demanding a trade to the Los Angeles Clippers. The two sides have communicated, but Wojnarowski reports that the asking price for the Sixers remains too high for the Clippers. The 76ers have communicated with that team and will move on with or without Harden, as the season opener is coming up within a couple days.
The Cal State Fullerton men's soccer team has had themselves a season thus far. They currently sit at 11 wins, 3 losses, and 3 ties. They only have 1 loss and 1 tie in Big West Conference play, as well as 5 wins, with 2 games remaining. The Titans have had a terrific team effort all season, with 10 different players getting on the score sheet. Their leading goal scorer is Roberto Ordonez, who has net in 10 goals this season. The team has scored 34 goals total, while only allowing 19 in the season. Goalkeeper Tetsuya Kodono has been a wall in the goal, getting 53 saves on the season.
The Titans have picked up some national rankings this season, with the United Soccer Coaches ranking them 13th in the nation and Top Drawer Soccer ranking the Titans as 16th in the nation. Earlier this month, they also received some votes on the NCAA D1 rankings as well. The Titans have 2 games left against Cal Poly and UC Santa Barbara at Titan Stadium for their regular season finale. The Titans currently sit at the top of the Big West rankings, with the Big West Conference tournament coming up in November.
All right, stay tuned for our roundtable discussion coming up right after the break.
I have a question about
Hello, and welcome back to our roundtable discussion. All right, so first I'd like to talk about Roger Goodell. We know he started his career as the administrative intern, like you mentioned, in 1982. And some interesting things I found is that he's actually made $63.9 million annually for the 2019, 2020, and the 2020 and 2021 seasons. And given that he's been there since 2006, I mean, how much longer does he stay after this 3-year contract expires?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's a little tough to say, but I think one thing that really shows that he has deserved this contract extension is we know that the National Football League is the #1 watch sport in the United States, right? It profits more money than any other league, and it's not even close. But one thing I think Commissioner Goodell has really capitalized on is the international games that he's had within the past decade, taking the games to Mexico City, London, and I believe this year they're at Germany, if I'm not wrong. Right. So I think that shows that he's really in the interest of expanding the sport to as much as he can in an international way, and that deserved his 3-year contract. As far as that, I don't know how much longer he'll stay there, but we'll see how he does in these next 3 years.
Yeah, I think being the commissioner of any sport is not easy. When you look at whenever sports have their draft, the commissioners always get booed, like Roger Goodell, they're always going to get booed. But if you look at, he's been there for 17 years, and nobody would have that spot for 17 years if they weren't doing something right. Like you said, taking the game internationally and also just growing the game even still in America as well. I think if he continues to do this and continues to grow the game, it's like, does he really need to, move on? So I think it's good that he has another 3 years, and after that, if he wants to keep, I'm sure he will, but I don't really see him retiring or getting fired anytime soon. So.
Yeah, Goodell has plenty of experience as NFL commissioner. I do want to point out that he actually expanded the NFL market to LA and Las Vegas in like 2017, 2020, around there. And he's also put a spotlight on player safety, concussions, the helmet, safety pads and helmets, and etc. and all that other stuff. So I think he's doing a great job for now, and he is deserving of the 3-year contract.
Yeah, no, I agree. And moving on to the Cowboys-Chargers game, we saw great performances from Dak Prescott, especially CeeDee Lamb. The Cowboys defense showed up. Dak went 272 yards. That one touchdown was the rushing. Didn't throw any interceptions. He had 109.3 passer rating, so they responded really well. And we think given this win, will the Cowboys be able to kind of flip this narrative of being an inconsistent team, or there's still a lot of questions that we need to be answered?
To be completely honest, I wasn't really convinced with this game. We know when you have the star on the side of your helmet, you're going to be talked about more than anyone else. That's been the talk of the media all week long, you know. And I was looking at the Chargers rankings; they're 27th ranked defense. So it's not like you've defeated some really high pristine defense, right? And I wasn't convinced. I'll take the W if I'm the Cowboys, right? I'm happy with it. It counts. It's not going against you. However, I do still think that they have a ways to go. I'm not convinced that they can still keep up with teams like the 49ers and the Eagles. I think there's still a tier behind them.
Right, and you know what? This past win has some question marks on the offense side of the ball. Dak Prescott only 272 passing yards and only one TD. And even though they won, despite losing Trayvon Diggs last week, the Cowboys defense is really taking the load for the Cowboys for their majority of wins this season.
Yeah, I think this is a good morale win for the Cowboys. After getting embarrassed by the 49ers like they did, going against, like you said, the Chargers aren't the best defensively, but still a pretty good Chargers team. They really needed this win, and the fact that they were able to seal that win on defense without having Diggs there, I think was big for them. But I think the Cowboys are sitting in a good spot right now because they're 4-2. They're one game now behind the Eagles. So if the Eagles were to slip up next week again, which they have the tendency to do, and the Cowboys get a win, they'll be tied for first place. You know, so they still have a lot of time, and they're only one game behind. And their next two games, I think, are going to tell us a lot. They play the Rams, who are they're 3-3. They're a pretty good team though, and they play the Eagles on the road after that. So that Eagles game will kind of be the test because if the Cowboys win against the Rams, that Eagles game will be for first place in the division. So that'll tell us if they're ready to take that next step or if they're still going to be that inconsistent team.
Yeah, and moving on to the other side of the field for this game, Justin Herbert, we all saw him throw the interception on that potential 2-minute drive that we really need. We've seen this a lot with Justin Herbert. He's a phenomenal quarterback, strong future of the NFL, but his inconsistency and his inability to win these big-time games, do you think this is kind of concerning for his future?
Well, before even getting to that, did you guys see the game? That looked like a Cowboys home game.
It did.
I feel so bad for the Chargers fan base.
They had to put that fake fan in there to get interviewed.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking, and I was like, I was like, this looks like we're at AT&T Stadium. This does not look like SoFi. So right off the bat, they lost home field advantage there, right? But going to Justin Herbert, it sucks to say because you see his stats are there. The first 3 years, the most impressive any quarterback has been. And there has been some dogs in the NFL, right? We have some historically great quarterbacks. So your stats alone speak for itself. But here's the problem, that he consistently finds himself in a situation where he needs to get the team out of the hole. And a lot of that has to do with the defense. Why is it that your defense consistently is letting you be in this position where they're always relying you at the end of the game for a game winner? But with that being said, there has been plenty of games that Justin Herbert could have really just taken the W, taken the team on his back, and we're seeing this balance. We're seeing this. The Chargers are in a really weird situation right now because we're talking about the head coach every week, how much longer he's going to be there. 27th ranked defense, and now that the question adds, is he a clutch? Does he have that dog in him? And unfortunately, the stats speak for themselves. When the games count, they haven't been able to take the W.
Yeah, they to go on your point, they haven't been able to take their W because, to be honest, they need to improve on receiving. They only had Keenan Allen as one deep threat. I think they do need to improve in the trade deadline coming up and get another receiver because I know Mike Williams is on IR, and usually it's only Williams and Allen, so they really need to step it up during the trade deadline. And I also think Kellen Moore has to be more creative, calling the plays and making sure Herbert is able to go out there and make sure he's able to get a winning drive. So, yeah.
I think the Chargers are just in a tough spot right now. I think they're one of those teams that for the last 3 years, you looked at them and you've said, this is the year they're going to take off. And year after year, it hasn't happened. They're sitting at 2-3 right now, and they're playing the Chiefs this upcoming week. So it's an expected loss. So they could be sitting at 2-4 in the same division as the Chiefs. And it's like, what's really going wrong? They have the guys, like they have Khalil Mack on defense. They have Derwin James. They have Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen. Like they have the names. It's just kind of like, what continues to go wrong? I feel like something drastic kind of has to happen, whether that be the coach getting fired, which I think should have happened after you blew a 27-0 lead in the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. So you can look at that. You can look at the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator. Just they need something to change. And I feel like you can't really waste someone like Herbert, like his window. You can't waste that. So something like you said, they have to go get a receiver. Something big has to happen, or else they're just going to continue to be this team that like what could have been kind of thing.
Yeah, Colin, I have this question for you. Why do you think that this team has such a history of having such high hopes, but they always disappoint their fans over and over again? What goes on in that organization, in your opinion?
I feel like it starts off with leadership. I mean, you mentioned coaching and things like that. Brandon Staley is not, I don't think he's a bad coach, but he's not a strong leader. Like when you look at coaches like Andy Reid, you look at other coaches like Doug Peterson, even in Jacksonville, what he's been able to turn around. Those guys know how to like get their team like hyped up. They have the players that can do it. And it's like the Chargers have had the talent for a while. They struggle on defense, but usually they have so many key weapons on offense. They've had a generational wide receiver talent in Keenan Allen for over 10 years now. Right. And I feel like it's got to start off with leadership, because if you don't have somebody at the helm that's leading you and like really getting your team amped up and ready to run through a brick wall, like what your team, it's really weird. Like I've seen him, like he takes more time doing yoga on the sidelines before games.
Wow.
We've all seen that clip than he does like trying to energize his team. So it's like, I feel like it has to start off somewhere with leadership, and that's what they're lacking.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and actually, next topic, you guys brought this one up, actually. I believe it was for the Olympics, correct?
The World Cup.
Or the World Cup, yeah. So it was that the...
SoFi Stadium, actually, reports came in, I want to say about 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It seems that as of right now, SoFi Stadium will not be a host for the 2026 World Cup. A lot of it has to do with the FIFA regulations. I know, Noah, you were telling us in the green room that it has to do because, as we know, AT&T has it, Allegiant has it, so does SoFi. They have these sweet boxes that are on the field, and with FIFA regulations, they don't want that on the stadium. That's the reason Las Vegas isn't actually a host city, and we just found out that the owner of the Rams, Kroenke, he said he's not willing to get rid of that. So in my opinion, I think that we're losing millions of dollars, because Los Angeles and SoFi was one of the favorites to not only inaugurate, but also host the World Cup final. Right. So I'm interested to hear all of your guys' opinions on the situation for that.
Yeah, I believe Kroenke put in billions into this stadium, and he just doesn't want to rip it apart just for a World Cup final. I understand it's like a global event, but you're asking too much for an NFL owner to do to their own stadium, and a lot of these NFL owners don't do well when someone's telling them what to do. They usually do the opposite. So, yeah, Kroenke, he had to do what he had to do to save his stadium. And it's sad because of the revenue that the World Cup brings to any city, but especially Los Angeles, having the Olympics and now having the World Cup here, is really sad.
I don't know too much about the story, but hearing what you guys said, I agree with Kroenke, and I believe Allegiant Stadium also did the same. It's like they're gonna do what they want for their season ticket holders. They're gonna do that for them because that's what their stadium is built for. Right. And like the World Cup is obviously a huge global event. It's just the fact that you're asking them to do too much, and they're not going to want the amount of work that it would be for them to do that just to make space for it. I don't think it's really I don't really think it's reasonable. So I agree with their decision.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think that it's a good decision of Kroenke. That's what they want to do if they don't want to do that. But I think I'm sure he looked at like the possibilities, but we have to look at just the global attention. People coming from all over the world, to come to SoFi Stadium and be able to talk about the stadium. It's definitely a big loss in terms of revenue and just everything else. But I mean, it is his stadium, so if that's what they want to decide, then it is. But I think that is like a massive, loss. But
yeah, and the city of Los Angeles right now is scrambling because they're trying to stay a host city. We have the Rose Bowl, but it's a little bit outdated. They have BMO Stadium where LAFC plays, but it's a little bit smaller. Yeah. So right now they're in a scramble.
All right, now moving on to our very own men's soccer team. I believe you mentioned the record was 11-3-1. Is that correct?
I believe it is.
Yeah, 11. Yes. And like our next two games against Cal Poly, which is 4-7-3, a very winnable game, and then UC Santa Barbara, which is they're a solid team as well with 9-6-1. With these like this incredible success of the men's soccer team is this season. Is it surprising to you guys at all?
Not at all. One thing I've had the opportunity to talk to Coach Kuntz, who is the men's soccer head coach, and if a little bit backstory behind him. He used to coach, I believe, at UC Irvine. And Coach Kuntz was a legend back there. He's known for having a fantastic system. He knows how to start off a program with a great foundation. And he's actually sent a good amount of players to the MLS. So he knows talent. He knows the structure of a team. And it was just a matter of time until the tie-ins were actually going to have the success. And it's really cool to see them blossom throughout the years. And honestly, the world is theirs because they're nationally ranked, which is really rare for a big West team, especially with soccer, to get nationally ranked. And I'm really excited to see if you guys go to the stadium, you see the environment's different, the energy is there, and people are really standing behind the soccer team.
Yeah, I think the structure of this team is phenomenal. They lead the Big West with 16 points, and they really have good team chemistry on the field, and I think team chemistry goes a long way. So yeah, they're doing really good, and go Titans.
Yeah, I think it's a really great story, the soccer team this year. I think just having that sort of, like you said, that buzz and excitement on campus of having a 13th ranked in the nation is like really crazy. 13th in the nation. I know they were a few weeks ago. You have the Roberto Ordonez, who was, for a while, he was number 1 in goals and assists which in the nation, which like is not, very common. And also the goalkeeper, Tetsuya Kodono, who has multiple defenders of the week. Like, they're a very well-rounded team, and it's just excited as a student on campus, seeing the buzz and everything. I think we have a good shot in terms of the playoffs and the tournament this year.
Yeah, and my final comment on this is I really wish that the school would do a better job of promoting these kind of games. I feel like they do a good job with, like they have the bar, or was it the
tailgate?
The tailgate,
yes. Tailgate, yeah.
But, yeah, I do feel like, because for somebody who, like, I haven't been following him as much this season, but I've been hearing a lot of great things about him. It's like, I wish that when they broadcast, like, or when they market these games, they get a lot of attendance. They've done it for basketball. I feel like they should do the same for soccer.
Yeah, absolutely. And going off with the goalkeeper, Cardona, you see the leadership. You go to the game, you will hear his voice from miles away, but you just see how Coach Kuntz has really put that leadership role in him and trusting him with the defense. So it's awesome to see.
Yeah. And moving on from the soccer field to the NBA arena, I don't really want to get into too much on the Harden situation. I think we all kind of agree that Harden is just being kind of petty at this point.
Right.
It's just he's done this multiple times. So what I really want to ask, like, what are your big NBA expectations this year?
I think for me, I'm really excited to see the Boston Celtics. And as a diehard Laker fan, I never thought I would say those words. But to see where Drew Holiday ended up, I know the talk of the town has been Dame going to the Milwaukee Bucks, but I'm really excited to see the role that Drew Holiday can have in that defense with the Celtics. And I think they're going to be the biggest threat coming from the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, as a Lakers fan, I'm also very excited to see. It seems like we have a new roster every year, right? Like at least 5-7 new guys. But I'm excited to see, first of all, Anthony Davis being healthy and hopefully healthy for the whole season, seeing where he can be in terms of the MVP race. And I'm also, like you said, I'm excited to see the Celtics. I feel like the Celtics are the team this year that if everything pans out, if they're healthy, it's going to be definitely hard to beat them. But I think overall, I'm excited to see the Lakers. I'm excited to see also the Nuggets. They lost a couple of key guys. They lost Bruce Brown. They lost Jeff Green in free agency. And a lot of the other Western Conference teams got better. The Suns added Bradley Beal. The Lakers added a couple guys. So I'm excited to see, are the Nuggets still going to, we know they still have Jokic and Murray, right? But are they still going to be that number 1 team? Or are we going to be able to see them take a little bit of a fall off since they lost a couple guys? So I'm excited to see where the Western Conference lies.
Yeah, speaking of the Western Conference, the Suns really improved. The Lakers really improved drastically. And I can't wait to see what Austin Reeves gets to do. First time starting with Rui and him, I think it's going to be a great season for the Lakers. So I think the Lakers are going to be a favorite in the West for me. And in the East, I think the Celtics or the Bucks or the Heat.
Nice. And I believe, like, as a Sacramento Kings fan, it's been a tough 17 seasons, but we have a lot to look forward to this year. We re-signed a lot of our guys that were on the team last year. We added Sasha Vezenkov from the EuroLeague. He's also very good, so I'm excited to see where that goes.
Absolutely. You guys had a great team last year.
Yeah, we do.
So
and
much fun to watch.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes. I don't expect us to be top seeded team, but I definitely think top 6 is very reasonable. I feel like I don't think we need to worry about playing.
You think what is it? Is it Mike Brown?
Yeah.
Do you think his coaching style really helped the Kings' personality as a whole?
100%. He's created an environment, and like he never really got his shot. I know he had a team with the Lakers in like what was it, the early 2010s, sometime around there.
Yeah.
So he never really got his shot and like his moment, and this was a perfect team for him because it was a rebuilding team that had a lot of good talent, and the way he like energizes them is amazing, and it's like something I hadn't seen out of a coach since early 2000s when we were last in the playoffs. So it'll be really interesting to see how it goes. Yeah. All right, Titans, that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Colin Costigan.
It's been a pleasure. I'm Francisco Molina.
Thank you for watching. I'm Noah Segovia.
And I'm Justin Rosette. Be sure to give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter if you haven't already, at CSUF Titan Sports, to keep you updated on all things sports.